Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Sindhu Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Yes, I can.
Dandot Pranam. Dandot Pranam, Prabhuji. All goes to Prabhupada. This is Lilananda's Prabhuji. Can you see me also, Prabhuji?
Yes, I can.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Let us all welcome Prema Sindhu Gauranga with three loud and enthusiastic Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Just in some time, few others will also join Prabhuji. This was a group which was chanting since morning. I think some of us have just finished 16 rounds or the process reaching 16 rounds. Few other families will be joining now, Prabhuji. In the meantime, with your permission, I would like to give a brief introduction about you to everyone joining Prabhuji. So, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Matajis, we are very fortunate to have Prema Sindhu Gauranga Prabhu in our call today. So, briefly, I'll read out Prabhuji's introduction. So, we all know Prabhuji. Prema Sindhu Gauranga Prabhu came in touch with ISKCON in 2004 while studying engineering in Pune. Prabhuji was fascinated by the theology of Vaishnavism. Then he went to do a bachelor's degree in Vaishnavism from University of Madras. Having a long-standing desire of serving the society as a monk and teacher, Prabhuji joined ISKCON at Juhu, Mumbai, as a full-time celibate monk. At Mumbai, Prabhuji served at Bhaktivedanta Book Trust as an editor, compiler, and proofreader. At BBT, Prabhuji compiled many books from the teachings of Prabhupada. Prabhuji also proofread all the books of Srila Prabhupada, including the Srimad Bhagavatam. At Mumbai, apart from serving at BBT, Prabhuji also developed outreach preaching programs for youth and congregation in villages. In 2015, wishing to dive more deeply into Srila Prabhupada's books, Prabhuji went to study at the Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education, VIHE. After completing his Bhakti Shastri degree, Prabhuji joined as a full-time teacher and curriculum developer at the VIHE. Since 2008, Prabhuji is involved as one of the founding team members of the ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya. At the ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya, Prabhuji serves in the capacity of secretary of the institute as well as the Shastri teacher. So let us once again, we are very fortunate to have such a scholarly devotee and Prabhuji, coming and giving a program to all of us. And just before Radhastami, that too, and I had requested Prabhuji, if you can inspire us to serve the lotus feet of Radharani. So Prabhuji said he will speak few words there. So let us once again welcome Prabhuji with three loud and enthusiastic Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Prabhuji had already introduced about our group here. So most of us are, as I said, from IT background, living in Hyderabad, in a place called Gachibowli. Hare Krishna, if you're not speaking, can you go on mute? Yeah. So, yes, Prabhuji. So most of us live in this part of the Hyderabad called Gachibowli, Prabhuji, and most of us are working in IT companies, practicing devotional service for the last 5 to 6 years, most of us, and aspiring to serve Srila Prabhupada in a much, many ways, taking inspiration from devotees like you, Prabhuji. So I'll request you to please give us Srimad Bhagavatam discourse. Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam.
Dandot Pranam. Is my voice clear to everybody?
It's a little low, probably, but that's okay. We can hear you.
Let me wear earphones, then we'll see. Is it better now?
Yes, probably. Definitely.
Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you for your wonderful morning program, which is being conducted by Lilananda Prabhu and other devotees since so many years. And they have been really putting in so much wonderful efforts in order to facilitate your devotional service. And I am very, very grateful to Lilananda Prabhu, Satya Devata Prabhu, and also other devotees for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share Krishna Katha with all of you. So, Prabhu, can you spotlight me?
Yes, I've already spotlighted you, Prabhuji. Is there anything else I have to do? Or spotlight for everyone? Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, thank you. And you can make me the co-host so that I can share some verses.
You can share even now, Prabhuji. You can share even now.
You can make me the.
Let
Okay.
me speak to you.
Fine.
You can share, Prabhu.
Okay, fine. I'll share whenever required. So as Radhastami is approaching in the next 2 days, we would like to speak something about Srimati Radharani.
Thank you.
So what we will do is, also I would request all of you to keep yourself on mute. If I ask you for some response, then you can unmute yourself. So what we are going to do is that in the beginning, we'll speak about some tattva about Radharani, that who is Radharani, what is her position, and in the next half of the class, or most of the later class, we'll speak about a wonderful pastime from a book which is called as Ananda Vrindavan Champu. So this wonderful book, Ananda Vrindavan Champu, is written by Kavi Karnapur, who is one of the most accomplished poets in our Gaudiya Sampradaya. And in Anand Vrindavan Champu, Kavi Karnapur is describing many wonderful pastimes of Vrindavan, which took place in Vrindavan, and which are not so much heard in other scriptures or described in other scriptures. So initially, we'll start with some philosophical understanding of Radharani, who is she, and how she is the emblem of service to Krishna. And then we will we'll dive in this nectarian pastime. So let us start with reciting some prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganaraghunatham Sajivam Savaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganadalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I'll be taking a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita and we'll explain it briefly and eventually we'll move on to Anand Vrindavan Champu, where we will discuss a very wonderful nectarian pastime of how Krishna and Nanda Maharaj and his family, they were invited to Barsana at the palace of Rishabhanu Maharaj, Radharani's father, for a wonderful feast. And we'll see how Radharani serves Krishna selflessly. So, to begin with, let's see this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. I am sharing in front of you. So this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 4.60. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, he is explaining about Radharani. Radharani is the Ladini potency of Supreme Lord. So he says, Ladini Karaya Krishne Ananda Swadana Ladini Radvara Kare Bhaktera Poshana. So the verse says, Ladini Karaya Krishne Ananda Swadana. The Ladini energy gives Krishna pleasure. And what is the other thing which Ladini does? Ladinira dvara kare bhaktera poshan. The second aspect of the Ladini potency is that she nourishes his devotees. So Ladini Shakti or Radharani is Krishna's energy which gives him pleasure. And also another very, very important function of Ladini Shakti or Srimati Radharani is that she nourishes devotees. She nourishes the devotion of all the devotees. So keeping this verse in our mind, we will speak today's pastimes on Radharani. That how she is the one who gives pleasure to Krishna, and also she is the one who nourishes and facilitates the devotional service of all the Vaishnavas. So this topic of speaking about the glories of Srimati Radharani is something very high, and I am definitely not qualified to speak about it. But the scriptures say that one should read the teachings of the acharyas and repeat them. So keeping that in mind and keeping this instruction in our heart, so we will try to speak something what our acharyas have written. So in the Hitopadesh, it is a scripture which speaks about Niti Shastras. Please keep yourself on mute. Otherwise, the voice from your room filters down here. So the Hitopadesh, it says that Gunair Uttatam Yati Nochaira Sana Samsthitaha Prasada Shikharo Sthopi Kakaha Kim Garudayate. What it says, Gunair Uttama Kam Yati. So someone who Lilananda Prabhu, actually you have to ask to keep them on mute because it's yeah, thank you. So this verse in Hitopadesh, it says that a person who has some good qualities, that person does not become replete of good qualities, or he does not become known to be a person who has good qualities just by sitting on a very wonderful seat like a Vyasasana. So he becomes full of good qualities if he actually has those qualities. Just like if a crow is sitting on the top of a temple, on the dome of the temple, on the prasada shikhara of the temple, he does not become a Garuda. He remains a crow only. Similarly, to speak about this uh, very high topic about Srimati Radharani, who is the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, we are not qualified, but we are simply repeating the words of the Acharyas. So we are keeping this in mind that if a crow sits on the flagstaff of a temple, he doesn't become Garuda. He remains a crow. So in this way, we are requesting blessings of all of you to speak something about Srimati Radharani. So many people throughout the history, philosophers, devotees, and those who are following on the path of spiritual life, they have done deep analysis of what is the supreme absolute truth, Param Satya. So Aristotle, one of the philosophers from the West, he says that absolute truth, they are all speculating. They don't know what is perfect. So Aristotle says that absolute truth means something which is completely perfect. There is no need of adding or subtracting anything from there. Just like a painting is there, a painting is completely perfect. First, a painter starts drawing. He is drawing with a pencil, the outline, then he draws the whole sketch. Then he starts filling in the colors. Then he puts some extra shades and give a final touch to the painting. And then the painting, it reaches a stage of saturation that you don't need anything more in that. And now anything extra in that painting will spoil that painting. Nothing extra is required now. So he says that this absolute truth, Param Satya, must be like frozen perfection. Nothing else is required there. So if this is the understanding of many philosophers and many religions, that absolute truth means perfect, like frozen perfection. He does not have to do anything now. But the understanding in our scriptures is that although the supreme absolute truth, Lord Sri Krishna, is perfection, but still he acts. So why he needs to act? He is already perfect. He does not need to act. So Vyasadeva also in Vedanta Sutra discusses this, that why the supreme absolute truth has to act. Many people say like this in other religions, Abrahamic religions like Christianity and Islam, that the supreme absolute truth does not have to act. If he's acting, he will be bound by karma. So why is acting? So Vedanta Sutra also discusses this. So Baladev Vidyabhushan, he says that in this world, people act for two purposes. One is Atyantika Dukha Nivrutti, to get rid of their miseries. And the second is Atyantika Sukha Pravrutti, that is to get some pleasure. So basically in this world, the spirit souls, ordinary jivas, they are acting for two purposes: to get rid of their miseries and to get some sukha, happiness. So Ramanuja, he says that why this Param Satya, supreme absolute truth, has to act. So Ramanuja says that supreme absolute truth, he acts only for his pastimes, for ananda, for pleasure. And Baldev Vidyabhushan says not only that the supreme absolute truth acts for ananda. Moreover, his leela is the result of his ecstasy. The leela is the result of his ananda. So he is not doing leela or he is not acting for achieving some ananda. He is already full of ananda. And the leela is a result of his ecstasy. Just like devotees, they dance because they are happy. And in the outside world, people dance because they want to become happy. So the Leela of the Lord is the result of his ecstasy, because the Lord is already happy. He wants to share his ecstasy with other souls. And that is why he comes here and performs Leela, to include other devotees in that Leela. It is not that by doing this activity he wants to become happy. He is already happy, and his Leela, his activity, is the result of his ecstasy. So, Ananda or happiness is not something external for Krishna. And as we discussed in this verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, his internal potency, Ladhini Shakti, is non different than Krishna. She is not some ordinary, in this world. Generally, when the description of Radha and Krishna comes by some mundane people, they say that they are, uh, one body, two souls. So they don't understand it properly. So Radharani is not some ordinary cowherd girl to whom Krishna was attracted. Neither she was some extraordinary girl. She is Godhead herself. So Krishna is Godhead in a male form, and Radharani is Godhead in a female form. So the Godhead expands in a female form so that they can please each other. So Radharani is Godhead herself, and that is why whenever Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about Radharani, he writes Srimati Radharani. So it's a very, very respectful, and it's a term, Srimati, Radha, Rani. She doesn't say Radha. Prabhupada doesn't say Radha. Or even our Acharyas, sometimes they say Shri Radha or Srimati Radha. And Prabhupada says Srimati Radharani. So we are giving Radharani this acknowledgement that she is Godhead herself. And as we saw in this verse, that Radharani is someone who gives pleasure to Krishna. So in the wonderful Radhikashtakam, it is in the first verse, it says, Kumkumapta kanchanabja garvahari gaurabha Pitananchitabja gandha kirti nindi saurabha Ballavesha shunu sarva Vanchitartha sadhika Mayyamatma pada padma dasya dastu radhika. So it says, Ballavesha shunu sarva vanchitartha sadhika. What it means, that she is fully qualified to fulfill all the desires of the son of the king of cowherd men. Ballavesha Shunu, so the son of the king of all cowherd men, Nanda Maharaj, Ballavesha Sunu, Sarva Vanchitartha Sadhika. So whatever is required to completely please Krishna, Radharani is fully qualified to do that. And such Radharani, may she bestow upon me the service of her lotus feet. So Radharani is someone who is Godhead herself. She is no ordinary spirit soul. So she is Godhead in a female form. Then the second thing to understand is that she is fully qualified to please Krishna in all respects. She fulfills all desires of Krishna. And not only that, as we saw in this verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, she does a very, very important activity for all of us, that she nourishes our devotion. She nourishes the devotees. So during the course of practice of our devotional service, whatever ananda, whatever happiness we experience. So in the neophyte stage or in the madhyama stage, this happiness comes sometimes in between. So that happiness which we experience, it is coming from the nourishment of Srimati Radharani. She is the one who is giving that happiness time and again in between, so that we keep tasting a spiritual bliss. Otherwise, being in this world, surrounded by the objects of this world, and naturally, as the senses are attracted to the objects of this world, how we will ever develop attraction to spiritual bliss? So Radharani is someone who nourishes our devotion, and she is the one by whose mercy this spiritual bliss can be experienced. So that is Srimati Radharani. So all Ananda, it comes by the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And Radharani shows from her own example how to serve Krishna. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this pastime of Madhavendra Puri also comes. Madhavendra Puri was a great Vaishnava in our Sampradaya. He is the spiritual master of Ishwar Puri, who was the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya. So all of you know this pastime that Madhavendra Puri discovered the deity of Gopal, and and then Madhavendra Puri, who was already very old, he went to South India, or rather towards Odisha, to bring sandalwood for Gopal. And with his old age, with his declining bodily situation, he brought this heavy wooden sticks of chandan, sandalwood, for pleasure of Gopal. So in that section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, uh, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he writes a very wonderful verse which speaks about what is the nature of true love. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that the nature of true love is that the beloved does not mind any difficulties and any pains which come on the way of service to the beloved. So just like Madhavendra Puri did not mind any difficulties or pains which he had to go through for serving Gopal. So that is the true mood of devotion. And that we can see in Radharani also. She does not mind any difficulties in serving Krishna, any pains. Her only purpose is to serve Krishna. And this we can see not only in Radharani, but also in all the gopis who are the followers of Radharani. So, uh, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati says that now we are going to move on to the section where we will describe this pastime from the Anand Vrindavan Champu of Kavi Karnapur. So whenever we read about the pastimes of Radha Krishna, we feel very happy to read or hear them. But we should understand that to receive the mercy of Radharani and Krishna, we have to pay the price. It is not cheap. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that to achieve the lotus feet of Radharani, one has to burn himself in the fire of the Sankirtan Yajna. Just like when gold is put into fire, it melts. Similarly, the devotee has to put himself in this fire of Sankirtan Yajna. And by doing that, then one will receive the attention of Srimati Radharani, and he will be able to taste the nectar of Radha and Krishna. So this we should always keep in mind, that ultimately to actually relish these pastimes and to become completely absorbed in these pastimes, we have to burn ourselves in the fire of Sankirtan movement. So once there was a uh, because we are speaking about this burning, so I just remembered once there was a Vaishnav sadhu who came to Vrindavan and he was practicing devotional service. And but he was not able to experience any devotional feelings or ecstasy. So he went to his guru and he said that Gurudev, I am doing whatever you have asked me to do, but still that ecstasy is not coming. So heart is not becoming soft. Still the attraction is there towards external objects. So what is happening? I am doing everything what you asked me to do. What is the problem? So Gurudev, it was night time, and because it was winter season, so some firewood was burning to provide them some heat. And besides them, some clay pots were kept. So Gurudev asked him, okay, bring couple of clay pots. So the disciple, he brought two clay pots. Then the Guru asked him, okay, you break one clay pot. So the disciple, he threw it on the ground and easily the clay pot, it broke. Then the Guru told that you put the another clay pot in fire. So that clay pot was put into fire for some period of time, and it got baked and became much stronger. And then he was again asked to break it and he could not break it. So Guru said that just like the pot when it went into fire became very strong. So by burning it has become strong. Similarly, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati is telling the same thing here, that by burning ourselves in the fire of Sankirtan movement, one has to uh, become very accomplished, strong, and experienced in devotional service. Then one will receive the mercy of Srimati Radharani. So now we come to Anand Vrindavan Champu. Anand Vrindavan Champu is written by Kavi Karnapur, who is one of the foremost Kavis, poets in our Sampradaya. So Champu is something which is a mixture of poetry and prose. Some of the verses in a Champu are in a poetry form, and suddenly the prose starts. Then again the poetry will start. So this combination of prose and poetry is called as a Champu. So in our Sampradaya, there are two Champus. One is the Anand Vrindavan Champu by Kavi Karnapur, and there is the Gopal Champu by Jiva Goswami. So in the Anand Vrindavan Champu, Kavi Karnapur is explaining about very, very nectarian, beautiful pastimes of Vrindavan. And in Gopal Champu, Srila Jiva Goswami is explaining about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, in Mathura, as well as in Dwarka. All three are explained there. So basically, Anand Vrindavan Champu and Gopal Champu are an extension to the 10th canto pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we are going to discuss about Nimantran Utsav. So this Nimantran Utsav is basically invitation which was given to Nanda Maharaj, his family, and some select Gopas and friends of Lord Krishna by Vrishabhanu Maharaj for a grand feast festival in Barsana. So the story, the pastime, it starts like this: that once upon a time, when Krishna was in was in his Poganda age period. So his birthday, his appearance day came Janmashtami. And Nanda Maharaj, he celebrated Janmashtami in such a grand way. This explanation comes in Gopal Champu. Such a wonderful explanation of Janmashtami that it will move you to the core. How Nanda Maharaj celebrated Janmashtami. Not the first Janmashtami, that is when Krishna was born, but this is later on in his Pogandavastha. So in that celebration, Nanda Maharaj invited the whole of Braja to Nandagram, and everybody was invited for a grand festival, and so many thousands of wonderful preparations were prepared for the pleasure of all the Brajvasis. And as everybody was invited, definitely Vrishabhanu Maharaj, Kirtida Mataji, the mother of Radharani, they were also invited. All the residents of Varsana were invited. And these devotees experienced this wonderful festival and they relished it from the core of their heart. And so Vrishabhanu Maharaj, he developed a desire that Nanda Maharaj organized such a beautiful festival. I should also invite him sometimes to Barsana. And we should treat the whole family and also their associates, also all the residents of Nandagram to a wonderful feast. So Rishabhanu Maharaj had this desire in his heart. And also Rishabhanu Maharaj remembered something from few years back when Radharani was a little child. So once Radharani, she was a little child, and as all of you know, little children, they keep playing, sometimes with some toys or like a toy kitchen, which is not a real kitchen. There are small vessels and everything is small and they cook there and they serve. So Radharani was playing like this as a small child. And with her toy kitchen, she made hundreds of dishes. And Kirtida, she was watching from behind what my daughter is doing. And she was astonished. Radharani, with her toy kitchen, she has made so many dishes. And these dishes are so wonderful. So Kirtida said that, let me taste what you have cooked. Let me sample what you have cooked. So Radharani became a little embarrassed and she said that, no, I just cooked something little and this is just, we are playing. But Kirtida could see that it's not ordinary, it's extraordinary what she has cooked. So she took something which Radharani had cooked. And as soon as Kirtida tasted it, there was an explosion of taste. And she was wondering that my small daughter, little daughter, she's like a master chef. She's no ordinary girl. And so she saved some of the items which Radharani had cooked for Rishabhanu Maharaj. And then later on, Rishabhanu Maharaj also tasted those items. And he was also astonished. And he thought that my daughter is such a wonderful cook at such a young age. And he developed a desire in his heart. If at all Krishna, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai, Balram, and their associates, if I could feed these items cooked by Radharani to them, then my life will be successful. So he remembered that also from the past. So all these things were going on in Rishabhanu's mind, and so he sent an invitation to Nanda Maharaj that please come for a grand feast in Barsana. So now by this time, Radharani was already married and she was staying with her in-laws, Jatila, Kutila, Abhimanyu and all. So Radharani was invited. Please come to Barsana because we have sent a grand invitation to all the residents of Nandagram headed by Nanda Maharaj and Krishna. So they are coming for a grand feast and you should come with all your sakhis to cook for Krishna. So Radharani was very, very happy that Krishna is coming and I'll get this opportunity to cook for him. So Radharani, along with all her gopi friends, they came to Barsana in order to prepare for the grand feast. So also Radharani had this blessing by Durvasa Muni that whatever she cooks, it will be extremely tasty, swadu. And whoever eats the preparations of Radharani, he will never fall sick in his life. So of course, what benediction Durvasa can give to Radharani, Radharani was blessing Durvasa by including him in her pastimes. So anyway, Radharani is invited to Barsana and she is very, very happy and she is ready with all her friends to do cooking for Krishna. And when Radharani, she goes initially to Barsana, she is asking Rishabhanu Maharaj that, okay, the cooking has to be done. So please take me to the storeroom where all the ingredients are kept, are stored. So she asks, are all the ingredients there? Do you have the best ingredients stored with you? So Rishabhanu Maharaj said, yes, yes, don't worry. Everything is ready. Come to the storeroom and see. So Radharani goes to the storeroom and she is inspecting that what are the ingredients, how they are kept, what is the quantity. So she is looking at the grocery store. It is described by Kavi Karnapur. This grocery store was so huge and the all the ingredients were kept so systematically and beautifully in the storeroom that just by looking at that storeroom one will feel so much satisfaction. So the storeroom was not chaotic. Sometimes in our house the storeroom might become chaotic. You go to take the flour and salt will come out, and whatever you want to find you will not find it. So it was not like that. So all the best ingredients, all the best items were stocked by Vrishabhanu Maharaj since many, many days in advance. The best camphor, the best gulkand, the best saffron, the best uh, color, food color, the best uh, incense, everything, the best of food grains, everything was kept there. And they had procured these best ingredients from different places. For example, sambar masala must come from South India and chole masala must come from Punjab. So they had done like this. All the wonderful ingredients were stocked perfectly. And so Radharani was very happy to see that. And then Radharani, she started seeing each and every item, whether it is good enough to be offered to Krishna. Because it is the nature of a pure devotee that he wants attention to detail. He wants everything perfect for Krishna. Like there was an associate of Lord Chaitanya, if I remember correctly, it was Raghav Pandit. So once he wanted to offer some coconuts to Lord Chaitanya, and he asked one of his servants to get them. So the servant, while bringing the coconut, the top of the coconut, it touched the wall or the top of the door, something like that. And so he said, no, no, this coconut should be rejected. It has touched the wall. So now, if the coconut touches the wall, there is not much defect in it. But as a devotee progresses on the path of devotional service, he becomes more and more sensitive to attention to detail. And he wants everything very perfect for Krishna. So Radharani is showing this from her example. So Radharani started examining all the ingredients. She was touching them, smelling them, and she was seeing everything is perfect or not. Whether it is good enough to be offered to Lord Krishna. So she was checking this like this. And then now let's change the scene. Let's go to Nandagram and see what's happening there. So in Nandagram, our actor, the great actor Krishna, he comes back in the evening after herding the cows with many of his Gopa friends. And the whole of Nandagram is waiting to welcome him. Kindly keep yourself on mute. So the whole of Nandagram is waiting to welcome him. So all the residents of Nandagram, they're waiting throughout the day when Krishna will return back from the forest. And they're looking in the direction from where Krishna is going to come. So initially they see the dust which is raised by the hoofs of the cows. And it gives them a sign that Krishna is not far away, he's coming. And slowly they see this huge mass, of cows moving together, different colors, white color, black color, red color, yellow color, blue color, so many different colors. Hare Krishna, I'm requesting all of you again and again, kindly keep yourself on mute. So, we are discussing something nectarian here, and it creates a lot of disturbance. So please keep this little thing in mind to keep yourself on mute. So the residents of Nandagram, they are looking in the direction when Krishna is going to come. And they see that the dust from the hoofs of cows is raising in the air, and they become very happy. They feel as if their life is coming back. So when Krishna is outside, they feel that we have lost our life. He has gone to the forest. And when Krishna is coming back, they feel that our life is coming back. So Krishna comes back, and he is a very naughty guy, and he likes to do a lot of drama. So he comes back to the house, and Yashoda Mai, she bathes her, feeds him, and then she tells Krishna, Krishna, tomorrow you are not going to herd the cows. So Krishna says, why? So Yashodamai says, because tomorrow we have an invitation from Barsana. So as soon as Krishna hears the name of Barsana, his heart is jumping up and down because he knows that he is going to meet with Radharani. But anyway, Krishna is a crooked person. He stands in a crooked way, and he also acts little crooked for pleasure of his devotees. So Krishna is telling Yashoda Mai, who is invited? I am invited or not? Or only you are invited? So Yashoda Mai says, no, everybody is invited. You are invited. Balram is invited. And some of our Gopa Sakhas, they are also invited. So all of us will go, and we have a grand feast in Barsana. So Krishna says, I am not coming. You go. I don't want to come. Yashoda says, why you don't want to come? So Krishna says that, no, because, I have so many lakhs of my Gopa friends, and they should also come with me. Na? So I'll not go alone. So if my friends find out that I have gone to Barsana without them, they will say that this fellow, he ran away just for eating something, He left us because he wanted to eat something. So I'll not go. So Yashodamai said that, see, everybody cannot go. Some few selected people are invited there. And if you don't want to come, then don't come. But we are going. So Krishna thought that, "Arey, what this is problematic." I was just joking, but now she is serious. So she said, no, it's okay. I'll come, don't worry. So Krishna was thinking that on one side, my friends are there who will not be able to come, who are in Sakkharas, who are so dear to me. How will I leave them? On the other hand, there is Yashodamai who is in Vatsalya Ras. She wants me to go. So there is a tussle between Vatsalya Ras and Sakhya Ras which is going on. And between this tussle of Sakhya and Vatsalya, Krishna sees that there is Madhurya in Barsana. So he chooses that, okay, let me go to Barsana. So in this way, Krishna says that, okay, don't worry, I'll come. And Yashodamai says to, I was telling you, you are doing so much drama. Come with us and don't do all this drama. So it was decided that next day, all of them, they will go to Barsana. And the Vedic system of inviting someone, organizing a feast, this Vedic culture is so refined, it is so wonderful, slowly getting lost in our society. It is the duty of all of us who have the good fortune of coming across the Vedas to continue this culture. So whenever someone is invited, someone should go to the house of the invited person to escort them to the place where they are supposed to go. So Vrishabhanu Maharaj sent many elderly gopis to Nandagram to invite and escort Nanda Maharaj family and some other guests to Barsana. And Vrishabhanu Maharaj had beautified, decorated the whole of Barsana in such a wonderful way. There is a very nice description given by Kavi Karnapur. Actually, it's this description which is given by Kavi Karnapur is quite detailed, but we can't go in much details because of short of time. But anyway, the whole Barsana was decorated in such a wonderful way by Vrishabhanu Maharaj. There was scented water which was sprinkled. Then this rice flour designs, Rangoli, was there on every street. And they had put nice garlands of fragrant flowers all over the streets and the houses, so that when the wind blowed, it carried this wonderful fragrance of all the flowers. And they had kept these banana trees in different places. And there is much more description of some specific things which were placed by Vrishabhanu Maharaj for welcoming Nanda Maharaj and others. And not only that, then Vrishabhanu Maharaj and Kirtida, they themselves, they were standing on the street to welcome the residents of Nandagram. They were themselves standing on the street. So, uh, so as they were fully prepared to welcome, they saw that the party from Nandagram is coming, headed by Nanda Maharaj. And when Nanda Maharaj and Vrishabhanu, Yashoda and Kirtida, they met, they became so happy. Uh, so they became so happy. They embraced each other. They then Vrishabhanu Maharaj, he welcomed him by his words, by his wonderful reception. And also all the other people from Nandagram, they were also welcomed, and they were all taken to the palace of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. And in the palace of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, there was a grand welcome with musical instruments and flowers with sandalwood paste and incense. So there was this grand welcome and very, very nice arrangement was made in that palace for everybody to sit down and take some rest before they take prasadam. So in the palace, there were separate arrangements for men, women, kids, so that they can sit separately and take some rest. So while everybody was seated comfortably, they were conversing with each other. Yashoda Mai, she developed a desire to go and see the kitchen, what's happening in the kitchen, because the invitation is for a feast. Let us go and see what's happening in the kitchen. So Yashoda, she told Kirtida, I have a desire that I should go and see what are the preparations being made in the kitchen, how the kitchen is organized, who is cooking. I want to go and see. So uh, Kirtida said, okay, let's go. Let's take a tour of the kitchen. So when Yashodamai went in the kitchen, she was surprised. She saw that Radharani herself is cooking. And now uh, Kavi Karnapur, he gives a detailed explanation of how Radharani, she cooks for Krishna. And very, very wonderful explanation and very described to explain in words. You have to read that book to see all the details. But Kavi Karnapur writes that Radharani, who was still a small girl, so she was cooking at once on 50 stoves. So at once there were 50 stoves kept, and on each stove a different item was being prepared. And Radharani alone was cooking on these 50 stoves simultaneously. And she was moving from one stove to another stove. Everything was being cooked perfectly. So she knew that on which stove the heat should be increased, which stove the heat should be decreased, where I had to add some spice, where I had to steam something, where I have to go and fry something, where I have to go and add some sugar, where I have to take down that particular item which is already cooked and place some another item to be cooked on the same stove. So there was perfect timing and synchronization by Radharani. And she was moving so perfectly from one stove to another stove, you know. So Yashoda Mai was surprised to see this little girl cooking in such a beautiful way. And Kavi Karnapur explains that it's not that on these 50 stoves where hundreds of items were cooked one after another by Radharani, it was only one type of taste, like, okay, all sweets, 50 sweets. No, he explains that all the six tastes, there are six type of tastes. There is the chili, then there is the sour, salty, and the uh, you know like amla is there, so which is between the sugar and sour. So in this way, these six type of tastes are there, sweet is there. So Radharani was preparing items of all these six different tastes, and they were all being cooked perfectly. There was perfect timing. And as Radharani was cooking this with perfection, keeping in mind that Krishna is going to eat, there were some drops of perspiration coming on her forehead. And she was looking very, very beautiful with these drops of perspiration on her forehead. And when Yashodamai saw this, she was spellbounded. She went to Radharani Yashodamai, and she said that you are so young, how you are cooking this? So actually earlier when Radharani, Yashodamai saw Radharani cooking, she thought that perhaps some of the few dishes here are cooked by Radharani. She did not know that Radharani is cooking everything. So Yashodamai went to Radharani and asked, "You are such a young girl, and you are cooking so nicely, perfectly. So how many items here have you cooked?" So Radharani said that she was very shy. So she said, not much, some of the few things I have cooked and some my other sakhis have cooked like that. So like this she replied. So, and she said, I've just cooked little. So Yashodamai said, little? My God, this is so much. And you're calling this little? So in this way, uh, Radharani was cooking. And Kavi Karnapurna, he also explains another very wonderful aspect of cooking here. So he says that all the items, preparations which are cooked for pleasure of the Supreme Lord, they must have four characteristics. So please listen to these four important characteristics, and whenever you cook next, then make sure that you try to inculcate them in your recipe as much as possible. So Kavi Karnapur says that the perfect cooking or the perfect cooked item, bhoga, it should have four characteristics. First, it should be fragrant, very, very fragrant, full of fragrance, very nice smell. So it should captivate a person from a long distance. The person should feel that, yes, in something is being cooked, even if does not know, the fragrance should captivate him and drag him to the place where the prasad is kept. So it should be very fragrant. Sometimes happens that something is being cooked in the kitchen and there's no fragrance only. Nowadays, even in ghee, there is no fragrance. And then you ask the cook that, Prabhu, have you put some spices? So he will say, yeah, I have put spices, but still there is no fragrance. So first is that it should be very fragrant. It should have wonderful fragrance, which one can smell from a long distance. Second, it should have a very perfect form. Every item, it has a particular form, and you should stick to that form. Not that someone cooks a chapati and which is supposed to be round, and when someone sees the chapati, then the question is asked, Prabhu, which map of the country, which country map is this? Not like that. So a chapati should look like a chapati, and a pakoda should look like a pakoda. So pakoda should be this size, not that you cook pakoda like this. So every item should have a proper form, so that when a person eats, it is very pleasing to look at. Then the third thing is touch. When someone touches that particular item, it should feel very nice. It should be the exact thing which is required for that item. For example, papad should be crispy. So when you touch papad, it should be crispy. But when you touch a chapati, it should not be crispy, it should be soft. Generally, what happens that the chapati is very crispy, like papad, and papad, it becomes soft and soggy like chapati. So that should not happen. So the preparation should be perfect in touch. That is the third thing. And the fourth thing, then taste. What to speak of taste? So whenever you put that preparation in the mouth should explode, and the taste should be very nice. It should be very fragrant. It should be very, very nice. So, this is the fourth thing. And the fifth thing is, the taste. So whenever you put that preparation in the mouth should explode, and the taste should explode. And the sixth thing is, with different type of rasas. So taste. These are the four things: fragrance, form, touch, and taste. So Kavi Karnapur explains that the cooking of Radharani for Krishna was the perfection of all these four things. Fragrance, everything was so fragrant that people were getting intoxicated. Then it was so beautiful to look at, you know. If you look at a laddu, it should look like a laddu, very beautiful. Then very wonderful to touch, soft, and very wonderful to taste. Of course, the taste, they are not tasted yet. The guests have not tasted yet. They will taste now. So, but Radharani's preparations were replete with all the four qualities. And then Kavi Karnapur says that whenever prasadam is cooked and served, it should have the effect of yoga. You know, what he means is that the last four steps in the Ashtanga yoga system are pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. So Kavi Karnapur explains, he compares these last four steps of the eightfold Ashtanga yoga process with the four things which he explained earlier: fragrance, form, touch, and taste. He says, when a devotee gets the fragrance of prasadam, which is offered to Lord Krishna and also cooked in such a wonderful way, then it should act like pratyahar. Pratyahar means all the senses are removed from the objects of this world and they are focusing on Krishna. So whenever the devotee gets the fragrance of prasad, all his senses should be removed from everything else and it should be focused on that particular item. Then form. Form he compares to dharana, the next step in yoga process. So he says when the devotee sees the form of that particular bhoga, not bhoga, prasad, then he should go into dharana. Dharana means it's a higher stage of pratyahar, that once senses are completely removed from the externals and focuses on the object of meditation. Plus, the additional thing here is that he takes shelter of the object of meditation. Ashraya. He takes ashraya. So, the form of prasad should give him ashraya. You know, he should take shelter. Then touch. When he touches that prasad, it's like dhyan, completely meditation, complete meditation, you know, fixed meditation. And then what to speak of taste? So taste is like samadhi. When he tastes, he should go into samadhi, not thinking of anything else. So if you have observed Srila Prabhupada taking prasadam in some of the videos, you can see that whenever prasad came in front of Prabhupada, he is completely focused. And he doesn't speak to anybody, he is completely focusing on prasad. That is the way to honor prasad. And we also see it in Chaitanya Charitamrita in so many places, how devotees headed by Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, they honor prasad. So Kavi Karanapur, he gives such a wonderful explanation of Radharani's cooking here. So when Yashodamai is seeing this wonderful scene of Radharani cooking, she calls Rohini, mother of Balaram, to show her how Radharani is cooking. And Yashoda Mai, she's feeling very happy from inside that such beautiful preparations are being made by Radharani. At the same time, Yashoda Mai is also feeling little unhappy. Why she's unhappy? Because she is feeling such a small girl and she has to do so much hard work. She must be tired. Why she has to do so much hard work? And she's thinking that this Kirtida She must have told Radharani to cook so many items. The poor girl, she is engaged in so much hard work. So Yashoda, she goes to Kirtida and she says, why you have engaged the small girl, Radharani, in so much cooking? She's struggling like anything, running from this stove to that stove, and it's very hard for me to see. I'm very happy to see her service attitude, but I also feel unhappy because she's struggling so hard. So Kirtida says, I didn't say her, I didn't tell her to cook. That's her own desire to cook so many items. Actually, let me tell you one secret. These items which you see being cooked here by Radharani on these 50 stoves, these items are very less items. They are only meant for Krishna and some special guests. For all other guests which have come from Nandagram, you know, hundreds and thousands of them, there is another kitchen, and you should go and see that kitchen also. And in that kitchen, thousands of residents of Barsana themselves are cooking thousands and thousands of items for all the guests. And then Kirtida, she takes Yashodamai to that another place, another kitchen setup, where there are huge pots because so many people have come from Nandagram, thousands of them. And all the residents of Barsana, they are not sitting in their home. They have a strong feeling to serve the residents of Nandagram. So they have all come, they have all set up this huge kitchen, and they are cooking thousands of recipes there. So when Yashodamai sees this, she is, you know, uh, she's not able to understand the scale of the cooking, and she's surprised, and she's also very happy to see this reception which is being offered by the residents of Barsana to the residents of Nandagram. So after seeing this hall which is filled of thousands of cooks and thousands of items, now the time comes for everybody to sit down and start honoring prasadam. So Yashodamai says, she requests Kirtida that Radharani, she has been cooking since such a long time. She must be tired. So now she should not serve. Okay, before this, I'll tell you important thing. Yes. Uh, Yashodamai tells Kirtida, when she sees Radharani cooking, she tells a very important statement. Now see this statement which is directly coming from Yashodamai. So Yashodamai says that after seeing Radharani cooking like this, that the ornament, the real ornament of a woman is her expertise in cooking. So Yashodamai tells this to Kirtida. The real ornament of a lady is her expertise in cooking. So anyway, now the time has come for everybody to sit down and start honoring Prasad. So Yashodamai tells Kirtida, Radharani is tired. I don't want her to serve. There should be different cooking team, different serving team, different team for wind up as we have in our temple. Not that the same fellow is cooking, the same fellow is serving, and the same poor fellow has to wind up everything. So Yashodamai says that some other people, they should do the serving now, and Radharani should not be engaged in serving. So Kirtidam says, no, these special guests like Nanda Maharaj, Krishna, Balram, and some of the very close friends of Krishna who had come, like Subal, Madhumangal. No feast can be complete without Madhumangal. If there is a feast and Madhumangal is not there, it's not a feast. He has to be there. So all the special guests, they will be served only by Radharani. Radharani will serve them. And now here, Kirtida, she makes a very important statement. She says Yashoda, you told me that a real ornament of a woman is her expertise in cooking, but not only that. The ornament or a quality, a very special quality of a woman is also that she knows the science of serving, you know. So we should also know how to serve. Generally, it happens that sometimes you go to the temple and the server comes with a big spoon. And before you can tell him how much you want, the big lump of halwa already landed in your plate. Boom. So you should also know when to serve, what is the sequence of serving. Once we went to Udupi, and in Udupi, as you know, there are 8 mathas which surround the temple. So we were invited. We were a group of brahmacharis, about 20 brahmacharis from Mumbai, and we had gone to Udupi. We were invited to one of the mathas to see their gurukul and see what they are doing. So we went to the matha and they were serving prasad. So as our devotees very enthusiastic, they said that Prabhu, can we serve? Can we serve? So our leader, he said, no, 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 you don't serve because you don't know how to serve. You see how these people serve. So then they came and first they only served some rice and sambar. I think rice, it was rasam or sambar, I don't remember, something like that. And we were wondering that, my God, we have come from Mumbai so long away, and these guys, they are giving us only rice and sambar. And so most of the devotees, they filled up their stomach with rice and sambar. And then after some time, one by one, all the new items started coming. And we were saying that, "Hey, why you didn't tell us before? So many items are there." Then idli came, vada came, and sweet came, and uttapa came. And because we were from Maharashtra, they prepared puran puri also, Maharashtrian sweet. So we told them that, "Arey, you should have told us before." So he said, no, no, this is the way we serve. So then we said, okay, good. Good that we didn't serve. Otherwise, we'll make a Govardhan in our plate and eat everything together. So Kirtida said that a woman should also know how to serve, the art of serving. So all the special guests, they will be served by Radharani only. So fine. So then everything was perfectly arranged for serving. And according to the different status of people in the society, there were different places for them. And there was a very clean, perfect sitting arrangement, not that some vessel is lying in between and the person who is coming to sit, he trips on the vessel and he falls down and he says that why this vessel is here and no one knows why the vessel is lying there. Not like that. So everything was perfectly arranged. And Nanda Maharaj was sitting, and towards his right, Balram is sitting, towards his left, Krishna is sitting, towards Nanda Maharaj's left, Krishna is sitting, and towards Krishna's left, then his friends are sitting, Madhumangal, Subal, and all of them. And now the final, climax for everything, for which everything is happening, the all the wonderful preparations they are brought now with all the fragrance and all those things. And Madhumangal, who is fond of prasad, as soon as he sees all these hundreds of items, wonderful items in front of him, he becomes so happy, he stands up and he starts jumping and dancing. And Krishna is thinking that, my God, my friend is making such a drama, what these people of Barsana will think. So he says, hey, sit down, what you are doing, dancing like this. So uh, Madhumangal says, no, no, I am so happy to see all these items. I want to dance. So Krishna says, no, sit down, shut up, keep quiet and sit down. These people will think that you have never eaten food in your life or what, Sometimes when brahmacharis are invited to some place, so they become very excited. And some people, they might think that these people don't get to eat or what, they're so excited. And they eat a lot also. So Madhumangal is same category. So he is jumping up and down and he's glorifying the food items, and Krishna is saying, hey, keep quiet, what will people think about us? So Madhumangal says, Krishna, you are telling me to keep quiet. I have only one tongue and one mouth with which I am glorifying the prasad. Actually, I want thousands of mouths. And with these thousands of mouths, I want to glorify this wonderful feast, because I have never seen in my life this kind of feast. I have been invited to so many places, and I have stole also so many things to eat, but never before I have seen this kind of feast. So I want thousands of mouths by which I can glorify this feast. At not only that, with this few of the thousands mouth, I want to start eating also, because otherwise there is lack of time. So with few thousand mouths I will glorify, and with few thousand mouths I want to start eating also. So this prasad has been cooked by Radharani. So Sakshat Mahalakshmi, she has cooked this feast. So this is such a wonderful feast. All glories to Radharani. And like this, Madhumangal is dancing and glorifying. And Krishna is thinking that, my God, my friend is gone crazy or what. But anyway, Madhumangal is a very, very amazing character, and you'll find in Gopal Champu, Anand Vrindavan Champu, all these kind of literatures, that Madhumangal is the king of comedy. Wherever he goes, there is hasya rasa. There is so much laughter and joy. So Madhumangal brings this laughter and joy to all pastimes of Krishna. And so Madhumangal is glorifying this all the prasad. And then the serving starts. And when the serving starts, Krishna has his parrot Shuka. So this Shuka, Krishna's parrot, he is sitting on the shoulder of Krishna here, right shoulder. And Krishna is feeding some grains of rice to that Shuka like this, taking from the plate and feeding to Shuka. And when Shuka is eating, suddenly he raises his head like this. So Yashodamai sees that Shuka is raising his head. So now the birds are also called as Dvijaraj. Dvija means twice born. So the birds are also called as Dvija because they are also born twice. Once they are born from the belly of the mother in form of the egg, and they are born again from the egg second time. So the birds are also called as Dvija. So when Yashodamai sees the Shuka, the parrot, he is raising his head like this. You must have seen parrots. They have a habit that sometimes they raise their head like this. So Yashodamai thinks that the Shuka, he wants to say something. So Yashodamai says, "Oh Dvijaraj, do you want to say something?" And Madhumangal is not aware that Yashodamai is speaking to the parrot. So Madhumangal immediately stands up and he says, "Today, Yashodamai has called me Dvijaraj, the king of all Brahmanas. Today, today is a special day. Today is the day when everybody has recognized me as a great Brahmana. They have recognized my, Brahma Tej. So I was waiting for this day, but today Yashodamai herself is calling me Dvijaraj." And then Yashodamai says, "No, I'm not calling you, I'm calling the parrot." So in this way, some nice pastimes are going on there. And then the parrot says, Shuka, he says, "Oh Madhumangal, you call yourself like you consider yourself as a great Brahmana, a great Dvija, but you are not a great Dvija. You said that the items have been prepared by Mahalakshmi. You are comparing Radharani to Mahalakshmi. Radharani is much greater than Mahalakshmi. She is source of Mahalakshmi. It seems that you are not so philosophically sound. So you are not a very good Brahmana." In this way, there is now debate going on between Shuka and Madhumangal. So in this way, in this wonderful environment of joy and laughter, everybody is honoring prasadam. And the pastime goes on, and we don't have much time to describe it. But the essence here is that Krishna Lila is full of wonderful nectarian pastimes. And all the devotees, whatever they are doing, whether it is Madhumangal joking or whatever, they are all doing it to give pleasure to Krishna. And someone who can give pleasure to Krishna in the most complete way is Srimati Radharani, as we saw in that verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And whatever activity Radharani does, she does it with complete perfection and complete attention to detail. So we'll complete with this final instruction here. So since Radhastami is coming, so we should take all lessons by how the Brajvasis act, how Radharani herself acts, all the time for pleasure of Krishna. They don't think about themselves. They don't think about the pain or the obstacles which might come in serving Krishna. So their only happiness is serving Krishna. Sometimes we read about the Ras Leela, and in the Ras Leela, there was a time when Krishna left the gopis. So the external reason which is given is that Krishna left the gopis because they became proud that Krishna is only dancing with us and not with others. Then Krishna left Radharani also, because Radharani also felt that Krishna is only with me. So that's a very external reason. Kavi Karnapur in Anand Vrindavan Champu explains the internal reason. He says that the gopis, they felt that Krishna should only be with Radharani, so that Radharani is the highest devotee that will be focused, that will be, it will be glorified like that, that Radharani is the highest of devotees, highest of the gopis, and Krishna, even if he leaves all the gopis, he wants to be with Radharani. So all the gopis felt that we should glorify Radharani. So how to do that? So they thought that, okay, if we act as if we are becoming proud, then maybe Krishna will leave us. So by the potency of Yogamaya, only internal potency, they acted in such a way. It seemed that they are becoming proud that Krishna is with them. So then Krishna left them and he was with Radharani. And now you see this amazing thing here. Radharani is thinking that, okay, I understand the intention of gopis, that they want to glorify me and they want me to be with Krishna. But they are serving myself and Krishna, and that is why we are able to relish this spiritual pastimes. So actually they are better devotees than me. So Krishna should be with gopis, not with me. So how to do that? So Radharani thought that, okay, let me act as if I am getting little proud that Krishna is only with me. So she acted in that way. There was no other way to do that. So Krishna left her also. So that is the internal reason which is given by Kavi Karnapur of why Krishna left Radharani and gopis. And of course, later on, he got united with them again. So what we learn here is the service attitude of the great devotees. They always want to glorify others. They don't want to take credit. And it is the same not only with devotees, but with the Godhead also. Krishna also wants to glorify his devotees. And always thinks that this gopi should be with Krishna, not me. So in spiritual world, this is the mood that everybody wants to serve others. And that is why these sweet pastimes, nectarian pastimes are always going on in this spiritual world. So all of us, we are very, very fortunate that we have come across Srila Prabhupada, without whom we would never hear these pastimes, and perhaps we'll be doing something else on Radhastami, not this. So on every Radhastami, we should always pray and be grateful to Srila Prabhupada also that he has come to our life. And so conditioned soul like ourselves also can relish these pastimes of Goloka. Even great yogis and even great Vaishnavas in our Sampradayas, they don't have access to these things. But we, being conditioned souls, by causeless mercy of Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, we are able to do it. So it's already time. We'll conclude the class here. And all, again, would like to thank all of you to that you heard patiently, and I hope that all of you relished these wonderful pastimes which are given by our acharyas. So it's an invitation to all of us to read these wonderful books which are given by our acharyas, so that we can absorb ourselves in these pastimes. Our consciousness is completely dipped in the nectarian juice of these pastimes, so that we are no more attracted to things of this world. And all of you should pray for me also that my consciousness also becomes like that, so that end of this life we can go back to Krishna and Madhumangal, where all these pastimes are actually taking place. So Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. It was such a nice, sweet pastime of how the prasadam is served to everybody, how Srimati Radharani prepares. Actually, the one thing that you told, Prabhuji, that bhakti is in detail, love is in detail. And so even your narration was so much in detail today that you went into even small aspects of how preparations are made and how carefully they are served, how they should be served. And it was the example of Udupi. Even we had gone to Udupi, and I still remember in that, not the Matha, but the main temple. And they have this big hall where they run and serve. You know, there is a short person uh, who serves rice. In so much detail they serve one by one. First they keep sweet, and then they keep some rice, sambar, rasam, and the whole thing. And even the amazing part is the Matha at that time, who is in charge of the temple. Uh, that very sannyasi Maharaj comes and oversees every single serving. That is it being served nicely? Are all the things given properly to all the devotees? Again, bhakti in detail, like the way you explained. I'm so grateful, Prabhuji, that you have told us the right consciousness that we should keep while Radhastami is coming. Prabhuji, one question I have is, sometimes while we are doing these services, uh, we forget that, you know, we forget that this life itself is to serve, and we should not have any likes or dislikes or any preferences. And something goes wrong in the service, somebody comments, and immediately we become upset, saying that, you know, how can you comment on my service, or I don't like this service, things like that. So how do we remove that tendency, Prabhuji, while we are serving? How do we bring that unconditional tendency that Srimati Radharani has?
So there are different stages of devotional service. There is the neophyte devotee, and there is the Madhyama and Uttama. So in the neophyte stage, the false ego is very high, and one is not able to discriminate between various levels of devotees. That is a symptom of a neophyte devotee. So neophyte devotee generally fails to discriminate between devotees. He is not able to have proper interactions with devotees. So these problems come. So one can say that there are there is this solution or that solution. For example, one can say that one has to develop some humility or some more service attitude. But ultimately, the real solution is to perform sadhana bhakti very, very sincerely in the mood of surrender, sharanagati. Unless that sharanagati comes, the Vaishnava qualities will not develop. And so we keep hearing questions like, Prabhu, we are practicing since many years, but still there is no taste in chanting, or as you asked, there is no proper attitude of service. So some devotees might face this trouble. Of course, Lilananda Prabhu is asking for benefit of others. He is himself not like that. But so all these problems, they will come when one does not perform sadhana bhakti properly without surrender. So our scriptures explain that there are 6 steps of sharanagati, 6 steps of surrender. And it begins with anukulyasya sankalpah pratikulyasya vivarjanam, accepting the things which are favorable for devotional service and rejecting the things which are unfavorable for devotional service. So Upadeshamrit, nectar of instruction, verses 2 and 3, they speak about anukulyasya sankalpah pratikulyasya vivarjanam. What are the things which are to be avoided in devotional service, and what are the things which are to be inculcated in devotional service. So when someone performs bhakti, sadhana bhakti, keeping in mind these details, then one can actually progress and develop Vaishnava qualities, and one can get rid of the anarthas. Ultimately, all these problems are there because one has not yet achieved anartha nivrutti, that is, release from different anarthas. So the solution is to achieve anartha nivrutti. And how to achieve anartha nivrutti? One has to perform sadhana bhakti with surrender. So there is difference between performing bhakti and performing bhakti with sharanagati. So if someone does not perform bhakti with sharanagati, then years and years will pass by and there will not be much change in the life. There will be some change definitely. But as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Bahu Janma Kori Yadi Shravana Kirtan, if for many, many lifetimes also one does Shravana Kirtan, still he will not achieve the mercy of Krishna. So these are very simple things which are given in books like Upadeshamrit, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, simple instructions. But the ultimate solution is this only, that one has to get rid of one's anarthas, and it can be done by performing sadhana bhakti very sincerely. So all the sadhakas, neophytes, their spiritual life, it starts with Ado Shraddha, then they do bhajana kriya, they start doing bhajan, and sorry, before that there is sadhu sangha, they come across devotees, then they do bhajana kriya. So this bhajana kriya, performing of bhajana or devotional service, it should be done in a very sincere way. Then one can reach the next step of anartha nivrutti. And in anartha nivrutti, then these problems will be solved automatically. So the solution is to be very sincere in one's sadhana bhakti. And another thing which can be done is, we keep hearing pastimes about the Lord and his associates, the acharyas, and their example is a shining torchlight to guide us all on our path of devotional service. So they are the examples. Even in the outside world, the karmis, they have some role model, that he is my role model, he acted like this and I want to follow in his footsteps, I want to become like him one day. So we have so many role models in form of acharyas, associates of the Lord. So we should have some and try to follow in their footsteps. Satovritti, it is told as. So these two things are good enough to get rid of anarthas. Follow the process of sadhana bhakti and always keep reading and hearing about our role models. Then one can easily get over all these problems.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. I know the journey is very long, to remove those tendencies, because on one side we say that I want to serve, and other side we have conditions to serve. On one side we say that we will facilitate or help devotees who are serving, and other side we start commenting on devotees while they are serving. So there are so many things which
Yes,
many
so
anarthas.
commenting or criticizing anybody definitely not helpful,
Yes.
because it does not serve in any way in one's devotional service. For example, we have our plate and we are eating, and there's no point in looking at others plate. Okay, we say that why is it? So it's not going to help us, neither it's going to help that person. Rather, it is only going to create disturbance in our own life. So this is something very important, that one should never criticize. So our most important symptom of a pure devotee, as described in Upadeshamrita only, is that he is free from criticism. So it's a very difficult thing, because criticism comes from false ego, and false ego is the most thick covering on the spirit soul. But we should know that if we become free from criticism, our mind will become peaceful. So we should try that.
Yes, Prabhuji, and one more thing I just wanted to share, right, coming to my mind regarding the same thing, is sometimes we start judging devotees, who start, I mean, devotees are at different levels. Like, for example, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, who is very famous for book distribution within our society, he has kept a target of 25,000 Bhagavatam sets, throughout the world this year. And being a pandemic, it is such a difficult task to achieve. But at the same time, there are so many devotees who start commenting, I think this is too unrealistic, it's too not doable. And there is this tendency that if you're commenting on great Vaishnavas' commitments, right? I mean, just like Prabhupada's word was open 108 temples or open temple in every nook and corner, every street. It sounds very unrealistic for neophyte devotees, but sometimes I feel those statements are actually coming from Lord Krishna through those devotees, that it is going to happen. And when we just support in that endeavor, things will happen. So as a devotee, our responsibility is to just follow the instructions of Guru and get inspired by Vaishnavas and aim to achieve the impossible. That's the amazing mood that I've seen in our society, Prabhuji, where devotees just go and do the impossible. And many a times it really, motivates all of us to start thinking impossible also. Because a lot of times we limit ourselves based on our abilities. And then, we start commenting on devotees who are aiming for the impossible. The mood of Srimati Radharani of tirelessly, endlessly serving Krishna is reflected in our society in such a beautiful way, in the form of various sannyasi maharajas and so many great Vaishnavas in our society, who are simply going and doing things which are actually impossible, but they'll end up achieving it in a very glorious way. Like His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he opened the temple in Ujjain within 1 year, and that was told like an impossible task, but he just finished in such a glorious big temple that Maharaj gave to this world. And same way, many other great devotees are doing. So thank you, Prabhuji, for your kind time and patience and coming and giving this katha to all of us. I'm sure there is a lot to endure, there is a lot to learn, and there is a lot to prepare our consciousness before we start thinking of serving Srimati Radharani. Any final note or conclude or any other questions, Prabhuji, not anybody else has?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have two questions.
Yeah.
One is the extension of your question that are related to service. Prabhuji, sometimes what happens, like in a big festival, when we are having some service, and we have very small place there. Say so many services are going on. Okay, so we cannot do like service like registration or some data collection or whatever the service we have, like book distribution. Okay, so we cannot stand in one place and we can go here and there. But the other stalls, the devotees, sometimes they'll say, no, don't come here, go there. Even they speak loudly. Okay, you have to go their side, go other side, don't come here. So how we can take this type of situation, what we can understand, we should go there or the devotee should not talk like this. How we can take it and how we can do the service in a better way.
So that's a very specific question related to some service. And if we are facing problem like this, then better to approach our authority who has assigned a service and let them deal with it instead of us going and fighting there. So
No,
that
no,
is
Prabhuji, so it is an offense if that devotee is talking, the other devotee like this. Okay, other devotees, okay, he come out from that place. So, but how we can take this? Like this is also offense, or
it depends on what is your position. If you are the manager, you are supposed to organize that thing. Then you can tell that I need this particular resource for doing my service. So please let me do it. If you are not in position of a manager, if you are not managing, then you just tolerate it and you try to solve it with your authority. So we should not take any offense or feel bad. We should just try to solve it in a Vaishnav way, whatever the issue is.
okay, thank you. Prabhuji, the second question is actually the devotee know very well. Okay, Radharani's position. But if someone asks, okay, why Radharani is married to other person, so how we can explain to them? We know that that Abhimanyu is the part of Krishna only, but how we can explain if someone asks these questions? And what is the position of Abhimanyu and little bit some the story behind this one?
So first of all, we never discuss about Radharani with those who are not devotees. So that we can see Prabhupada never discussed these things with those who are non-devotees. And even in the society of devotees, he never much discussed, because when he started the society, everybody was a new devotee. It's not that Prabhupada was getting people who are practicing devotional service since 20, 30 years. So these things are not to be discussed with new people, because new people are still confused whether they are the body or the soul. So these pastimes should only be discussed with devotees who have been practicing since few years. And in that also, the very intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna are not discussed. That is why today also I did not discuss any intimate pastime. I only discussed about Krishna being invited for a feast. So the intimate pastimes are not discussed. They are, because every book or every pastime, it needs an adhikar to be read or discussed. So even if someone has an adhikar to read, he may not have the adhikar to discuss it. So that is why the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna are not discussed. So if someone asks you this question, then we can give the same answer which Srila Prabhupada gave, that everything begins with understanding that we are not the body, we are the soul. And later on, understanding Krishna, his pastimes will come. First, they should read Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita tells about the science of devotional service, the science of Prakriti, Purusha, and Bhagavan. So this science should be known. What is the relationship between Prakriti and Purusha? There are two Purushas. So this science for first one should know and one should realize, and then later on there comes Bhagavatam, where other pastimes are described. So one should tell tell a person directly that these things are not to be discussed at this point of time, at this particular position in your spiritual life. First, you are supposed to do something else. As regards to Abhimanyu, he is the shadow of Krishna. He is the expansion of Krishna. And Radharani does not get married with anybody other than Krishna. So Abhimanyu is no one but the shadow of Krishna only. And whenever we speak about pastimes of Madhurya Leela, then the mind is contaminated because we always equate it with the love of this world. That is why these pastimes are not to be discussed. And that's why today also we didn't discuss anything like that. So better not to go into that zone. First, get rid of the anarthas. It's a long journey. And when we get rid of anarthas, when we get rid of material sex life, only then one can understand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. This Prabhupada says in many places. So that will happen naturally. Let it take a natural course. So till that time, we can just read and relish, no need of discussing it. And even very intimate pastimes, if we get disturbed, we should not read also. Prabhupada says different things at different times. In the introduction of Krishna book, he says that the people who are addicted to these kind of activities in this material world, attraction between man and woman, by reading about the pastimes of Radha Krishna, they will become free from that. That Prabhupada says in introduction of Krishna book. And in some other places, he says that if someone is getting disturbed reading these pastimes, then he should not read. So both things are there. So one can read because it is Prabhupada's instruction. But if one is getting disturbed, then one should stop. There is no need. But better thing is that one should read first Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. These books are very important.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
It is also one of the Naam Aparadhas, the ninth offense. Ninth offense is to tell the glories of the holy name to someone who does not have faith. So to tell the pastimes of the Lord also, intimate pastimes of the Lord to a person who does not have that level of faith, that is also a ninth offense to the holy name. It will destroy our chanting. So we should not do that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's already 9 o'clock. I'm sure you have a schedule
Yes,
lined up for yourself. And so we are very grateful again, Prabhuji. And you have given us a consciousness to approach Radhastami. We all are celebrating Radhastami. And in our home, we have Radha Gopi Vallabha deities, Prabhuji. They're named by my Guru Maharaj, his own as Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So we'll be doing Abhishekam for them on Radhastami and singing some glories and maybe repeating some of the things that you told today on that day for many other people will come so that they can take shelter of Srimati Radharani and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Thank you very much. Let us thank Prema Sindhu Gauranga Prabhuji with 3 loud and enthusiastic Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! We wish you all the best for your project also, Prabhuji, that you've taken up near Govardhan. All the support will come in due course and you'll establish a very big Mahavidyalaya. We all will pray for that.
Yes. All of you are welcome to visit Govardhan and
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking us to Vrindavan through your conversation. Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prajan Mataji. So, Prajan Mataji, have cancelled today evening satsang in our home because there is Ganapati Visarjan in many places. So, but we'll meet for Radhastami. On Tuesday. Yeah, I'll send you invite for all details. Please do. Hare Krishna.